There's a rumor going around. If you like this video and subscribe, you will become a taijutsu master. Hi guys, this is the next part of What if Itachi Uchiha was reincarnated in the world of fairy tale? I hope you enjoy. Everyone was gathered in the medical office in the guild hall. They were all circled around one bed where Itachi was laying, breathing heavily and sweating. He was also shirtless. Mira Jane sat on his right and Erza was standing above him on his left. Mira placed a wet towel on Itachi's forehead. Itachi, Mira muttered, and her face clearly showed that she had been crying. What's wrong with him? Natsu questioned. He coughed up blood. He did it when he fought Jalal too, but I thought he was just injured from an attack. Erza said as she saw a trail of blood running down from Itachi's lips. Erza then took a tissue and wiped the blood trail off. I see that you brats found out then. The voice of Master Makarov was heard. They instantly turned towards the door where their dwarf master stood. You mean you knew? Gray asked. Master, what's wrong with him? Mira asked as her face was filled with worry, just like Erza and the rest of them. Makarov let out a sigh. He's sick. Sick? Then all we have to do is to wait for him to get better. Natsu said with a grin. He's gonna be just fine. It's not that kind of sickness, Natsu. Makarov said as the grin on Natsu's face vanished. What do you mean not that kind of sickness? Kana questioned. Mira and Erza were shaking. Both of their eyes were full of fear. They both hoped that what they thought was wrong. Why you don't mean? Mira stuttered. He's dying, Makarov confirmed as the mood in the room turned dark and nothing but silence was heard. Dying. Oni-chan is dying. It can't be. Erza had tears streaming down her face, as the master's silence said that it was true. Mira sat there frozen as trails of tears ran from her eyes. As memories of her meeting Itachi for the first time, her joining the guild, their first S-class job, Lizana's death and Itachi comforting her. All of the memories she had with the guild and Itachi ran through her mind. She then looked over to Itachi, who was still unconscious and breathing heavily as his body looked weak and paler. Isn't there anything we can do to help him? We are doing the best we can. Makarov replied. Hang on. How long have you known? Gray shouted. How long has he been sick? Exclamation mark. How long? He's been sick for over 2 years now. Makarov replied. 2 years? Why? Why didn't he tell me about this? Why didn't you? Erza asked as she clenched her fist in anger while tears ran down her face. Why didn't I notice that something was wrong? Why? It's okay, Itachi's voice weakly muttered. It's okay, Erza, it's okay. Everyone turned towards Itachi, who had opened his eyes. He was still breathing heavily and sweating. Why didn't you guys tell us sooner? Natsu asked. I didn't want to worry you. I didn't. Itachi muttered as he tried to sit up, but then he felt the pain in his chest increase. No, please just rest. You need to rest, Mira said as she gently placed Itachi back in the bed. He didn't want you guys to worry. He was going to try and solve it with a small amount of help. Makarov said. Who else besides you knew? Erza asked. Only me, Perliuzica, and Mistogen. Makarov replied. He wanted less people to know. He knew that all of you would blame yourself if you couldn't manage to get the herbs needed for his cure. And since Mira Jane had just lost Lizana, he knew that this would be too much for you to deal with at the moment, and he knew that it would send you down a path of despair, Erza. He informed me so that I could ensure that his secret would be kept, Perliuzica so that she could help him make the cure, and Mistogen to help look for the herbs. So, there is a cure? Lucy asked. Unfortunately, Itachi couldn't find the last herb needed for it. Mistogen found all of the herbs Itachi asked him to find, and Itachi found the ones he was supposed to find except for one. A rare flower with a certain healing juice in it. He spent the 2-year-long job of his to find those herbs. Makarov said. Then all we have to do is to find that flower, right? Exclamation mark. Alright, Happy, Lucy, Erza, Gray, let's go. Natsu declared. Aye sir. Happy cheered. It's no use, Itachi muttered. What? Natsu questioned. I didn't inform this to even you, master, but it only took me a year to gather the herbs I have given Perliuzica. I spent the other year looking for that flower, a whole year, and I didn't find it. Itachi informed. What? Makarov questioned as his eyes was wide and his body was shaking. Then, yes, at first I went to the village where Perliuzica said those flowers tend to bloom. But when I got there the entire field was burned up, Itachi said as everyone began to look even more worried. I asked the locals what happened, and they said, that a dragon burned the field. Itachi said as Natsu widened his eyes. A dragon, Natsu muttered. It wasn't Igneel by the way, this dragon was black with blue markings on its body. They said it destroyed a village and a few mountains then the field. I then continued to look for it in other places where it was rumored to bloom and grow, but they all turned out to be false or that they used to but not anymore. It's just time to face facts, that flower does not exist anymore, and I will eventually die, Itachi said then. Slap. A red mark of a hand was on Itachi's cheek as Mira who was crying had slapped him. Don't you dare give up. Mira? Itachi questioned as Mira buried her face on Itachi's chest as tears ran down her face. There has got to be another way, it just has to be, we have to keep trying, Mira cried. She's right, we can't give up hope just yet, Erza said with a burning determination in her eyes. How much time do you have? Gray asked. Well, at the moment Perliuzica is trying to mix up some medicine that will prolong my life with some of the extra herbs I gathered, we'll have to wait until she's done and has given it to me. Itachi replied. Did she say when they would be done? Erza asked. She said around the time when the Fantasia parade is over, I'll just need to hold on until then, Itachi replied. And once you get your medicine we will ask that hag if there is any other way. Natsu said as his fists were infused in flames. Right, now let's go and make things ready for the parade. Itachi said, but two certain someones had something else to say. Oh, no you don't. Mira Jane and Erza shouted in unison. Huh? Itachi questioned in confusion. You need to rest mister. Mira said as she brought her face closer to Itachi's with a serious expression. That's right, you're sick and you will not leave this bed until you get your medicine. Erza said as she also brought her face closer to Itachi's sharing Mira's serious expression. But, I have dealt with this for over 2 years now, without any kind of medicine. I'm fine, I just used a little too much power against Jalal. Itachi said as he was actually surprised by the two girls' actions, he was even beginning to sweat a little nervously. What does that have to do with anything? Erza questioned. Oh, did Master leave that part out? If I use more than 40% of my full power I shorten my lifespan, and I think I used around 40% against Jalal, maybe a little less. Itachi said as if it was no big deal. You are not leaving this bed. Mira and Erza said with a dark expression as they sent looks that said, if you leave this bed we will kill you. Guys, a little help. Itachi asked the others who had begun walking out the door. Sorry kid, you're on your own. Master Makarov said as he and the others went down to the main hall. Good luck, Kana said with an amused chuckle. We feel sorry for you dude. Gray said as Natsu nodded in agreement. Yeah, see ya, Natsu said. Happy said as he flew after the others. Hope you have a speedy recovery. Lucy waved as she followed after the others, leaving only Itachi, Mira and Erza in the room. They left me, Itachi said as a wave of wind blew through the room. Now lay down and get some rest. Mira said and took the cloth off Itachi's forehead, put it in a bowl of water, twisted the towel and placed it back on his forehead. I read somewhere that if you're sick you'll need to drink a lot of water. Erza said as she grabbed an entire barrel of water and forced the water down Itachi's mouth. Are you feeling any better? Is it working? At this rate they will be the ones that kill me, Itachi thought with a sweat drop. Unknown to either of them, Laxus stood outside of the door. Having heard everything, he simply had a large grin on his face. This is perfect. With Itachi out of commission, I have the perfect opportunity to take over Fairy Tail. Time to assemble the tribe. Laxus thought before he vanished in a flash of lightning. On the top of a hill, just outside of Magnolia, Laxus's little crew, the Thunder God tribe, which consisted of Freed, Evergreen and Bixlo, were standing on the hilltop when suddenly a thunderbolt struck in front of them. When the dust cleared it revealed Laxus. Get ready, we have the perfect opportunity here, Laxus said with a smirk. What do you mean, Laxus? Freed questioned. Laxus then let out a chuckle. Itachi seems to have gotten a deadly illness and he is out of commission. With him out of the picture there is nothing that can stand in my way. Fairy Tail will be mine. The Gramps' era is over, Laxus said as lightning flickered around him. So Itachi will die then? Bixlo questioned. No, once I become master I will make his recovery a first priority. After all, there is no way I'm letting a powerful addition to my guild die, Laxus declared. That is, if he swears to bow to me. Laxus snickered. A few days later, Itachi laid in his bed as both Mira and Erza had taken shifts to watch him. He hasn't been able to get out of the room. The most activity he has gotten was throwing shurikens at dartboards. While as outside the whole town was in a festive mood, he could smell the delicious food out there. It didn't help much as it was a dango stand not too far away from his window. Mira, could you get me some dango, please? Itachi begged as he looked out the window and saw the dango stand with all those delicious dango being made. Itachi had some drool dripping from his mouth. No can do, if you're going to get better you will need to eat only healthy food. So, no sweets, Mira said as her words were crushing Itachi's spirit. It's not fair, Itachi said as he was close to almost growing tears in his eyes. This is torture, torture I tell you, I brought you a sandwich. Mira said and placed the plate with the sandwich on the nightstand next to Itachi. My dango, oh my sweet dango. I promise we will be reunited again. Itachi sang as Mira closed the curtains on the window. There, out of sight out of mind. Mira said, lately she hasn't been as cheerful as she used to be. She's so worried about Itachi that she takes everything so seriously. When Erza has her shifts Mira helps down at the bar a little, then makes some food for the sick Uchiha and once the food is finished she instantly takes her shift to watch over Itachi, despite Erza's protests, making it so that sometimes they are both watching him. You know, just because I'm sick doesn't mean you have to change your attitude so much. I miss seeing your happy friendly smile. Itachi said as he had gained his serious Uchiha expression back. Well, this is no time to be happy, the person I admire the most is on his deathbed after all. Mira said as her back was turned to Itachi, but Itachi still noticed a few drops of tears that fell onto the floor. Itachi got silent as he looked up at the ceiling. Death is only a natural part of life, nothing lasts forever. It may be sad but sometimes that's just how things are. Besides like you and Erza said there is still hope, I may be dying but I'm still nowhere near my deathbed just yet. Itachi said with a comforting smile. I promised you after all, I will not let anything kill me, that includes this sickness. Itachi said as Mira was a little surprised to hear the promise she made him make after Lizana died. Itachi, I, Mira muttered as she ran up to him and embraced him in a hug. Itachi smiled and began stroking her hair. Everything will be fine, don't you worry. Itachi, I love, Mira muttered as cheers were heard from outside. What was that? Itachi questioned as he didn't hear her over the festival outside. Nothing, Mira said with a blush on her face. I love you, Mira thought as she tightens her embrace in the hug. Oh, that's right, aren't you supposed to be in the Miss Fairy Tale contest thing? Shouldn't you get ready? Itachi asked. No, I'm not going to enter. I will stay here with you. Mira replied. I would hate for you to miss out on the fun, so just go and have a good time. Don't worry about me, Itachi said. No, I've made up my mind, I'm staying here. Mira declared. So am I, Erza said as she entered the room. Not you too, just go and have fun at the festival please. Itachi begged both of them. Since you're sick I'm staying right here, Erza said and sat down on a chair filled with determination. Itachi sighed, then he got an idea. What a shame, I was hoping my dearest cutest little sister would win the Miss Fairy Tale contest for her Oni-chan. Ah, such a shame. I was going to cheer you on from here and everything. Itachi said with a sigh as he had his eyes closed, he then peeked with his right eye to see Erza having a small blush. Well then I'm off to win the contest, Erza declared and went back downstairs. Once she was gone Itachi let out an amused chuckle. She's so easy to manipulate sometimes I just feel horrible for doing it. Itachi chuckled. Mira looked at Itachi's happy face and couldn't help but to smile herself. The main hall several people were gathered around the stage awaiting the Miss Fairy Tale contest to begin. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Our fairy beauty pageant, the Miss Fairy Tale contest, is about to begin. The announcer being Max, I, the Sand Wizard Max, will be your host today. Max said as cheers around the room were heard. Natsu, Gray, Happy and Elfman sat on a table. Why would you be interested in this? Gray questioned looking at the Fire Dragon Slayer. He's a man, Elfman said his usual catchphrase. Entry number 1. An exotic beauty with an otherworldly stomach. Kana Alberona. Max introduced the guild's number 1 alcoholic Kana who was posing in her casual outfit, with her top only being a blue bikini. Now she'll use her magic to appeal to the audience. Max said as Kana brought out some cards that turned into multiple cards that fell around her body concealing it. Oh, the cards are concealing her body. And she's changed into a swimsuit. When the cards cleared it revealed Kana in a swimsuit which was a bikini with orange and green stripes, she was doing a sexy pose. The drinking money is as good as mine, Kana declared. A swimsuit? That's not fair. Lucy said as she popped her head out from behind the stage curtain. Clever. Why didn't I think of that? Erza popped her head out from behind the stage curtain as well. You're in the contest too, Erza? Lucy questioned. Yeah, I'm going to win this for Oni-chan. Anyone who gets in my way will meet their end by my blade. Erza said as her expression darkened, making Lucy sweat nervously out of fear. Entry number 2. Although she's a newcomer, she has S-class abilities. The breathtaking beauty of precipitation, Juvia Laxus. May these feelings reach my dear Grey-sama. Juvia thought as she brought out some water from her body. The stage behind her looked like a tropical area with palm trees. And she had changed into a swimsuit as well. Oh, she created the perfect scenery for a swimsuit. Max said and the crowd cheered. Are you watching, my dear Grey-sama? Juvia said. Another use of sex appeal. Lucy questioned as she was a little angry at the fact that her winning chances are dropping by the minute. Entry number 3. This Titania needs no explanation. Max said. I'm up. Erza leapt to the stage. Erza Scarlet. All right. Someone from the crowd cheered. She's so cool. The strongest woman in fairy tale. Allow me to demonstrate a very special requip. But first, where's my Oni-chan's cheer? Erza questioned. Yay. Go Erza, fight. An emotionless cheer came from the medical room. Erza then smiled and requipped into a goth loli outfit. The contest is over, Erza said with confidence as several people had hearts in their eyes. Yay. Way to go Erza. Itachi's emotionless cheer came from the medical room, making Erza gain a smile of accomplishment. Entry number 4. A petite fairy with cuteness and intelligence, Levi Magarden. Max introduced us to the smartest girl in fairy tale. Levi. Jet and Droy cheered in unison. Solid script. Levi chanted as she formed words in the air made out of what the words were, as she gave a cute smile to the audience. Levi. Jet and Droy cheered in unison. Entry number 5. The sexy sniper, Visca Mulan. Max introduced Visca, who was in a swimsuit too. She held 4 coins with heart marks in them and threw them in a straight line in the air. Requip. She brought out a sniper rifle. The gunner. She shot straight through the heart marks of the coins with one shot. Yeehaw, so cute. Alzak commented with hearts in his eyes. Entry number 6. Our super rookie. Her celestial spirits guide the dazzling light she gives off. Lucy don't say my last name. Lucy interrupted Max's introduction. Whoa, she's cute. Okay, now for your appeal time. Max said. My celestial spirits and I will now perform a cheer. Lucy said as she brought out some pom-poms. Entry number 7. The voice of a girl was heard. Hold on. I still haven't done my thing yet. Lucy complained. I am the definition of a fairy. I am the definition of beauty. Yes, I am the definition of everything. This victory goes to me, Evergreen. Okay, this ridiculous contest is now over. Evergreen declared, having entered the stage. Wah? Lucy questioned. Evergreen. Gray said in shock. She's back. Elfman said. Hold on. Could you please stay out of this? My very livelihood is at stake here. Lucy said as she stood now next to Evergreen. Lucy. Don't look at her eyes. Gray warned. Who's this brat? Evergreen questioned as she tilted her glasses upwards, looking at Lucy as her eyes glowed. And suddenly Lucy turned to stone. What? Stone? Is that her appeal? This is bad. Everyone run for your lives. Max said as everyone besides fairy tale wizards ran outside. What do you think you're doing, Evergreen? Are you trying to spoil the festival? Makarov questioned, angered. Evergreen let out a small chuckle as the curtain behind her on the stage got lifted up. All festivals need some sort of entertainment, Evergreen said as all the contestants had turned to stone. You fool. Turn them back this instant. Makarov demanded when a bolt of lightning hit the stage. Hey there, you fairy tale losers. The festival is just getting started. Laxus said, having a crazed grin on his face. Laxus. Makarov said. Gray looked around and spotted 2 others. Freed. Bixlo too. The Thunder God tribe. Macau said. They're Laxus's bodyguards. Wakaba said. Let's play, old man. Laxus said with a smirk. Cease this nonsense. Turn them back at once. Makarov demanded. Laxus just smirked at his grandfather's threats. Just how many of them will survive until the Fantasia parade? Laxus said as a bolt of lightning appeared above the petrified Lucy. Stop. Makarov demanded as a lightning bolt struck down next to Lucy. Laxus placed his arm around Lucy. I'm taking these girls hostage. Break the rules and they'll shatter one by one. Like she said, this is entertainment. I've had enough of your jokes, Laxus. Makarov said. I'm completely serious. Laxus said. Freed then jumped down to the stage. Let's find out who the strongest member of Fairy Tail really is. Vixlo then jumped down as well. Let's have some fun. You coward. You attack when the one person who's way stronger than you is sick. Gray shouted. Hey, he's free to participate if he wants to. The question is, can he even stand now? Laxus said and let out a laugh. The rules are simple. Whoever's still standing at the end wins. A battle of Fairy Tail. Natsu slammed his fist to the table. Sounds good to me. Nice and simple. I'm all fired up. I like that rarin' to go side of you. Laxus said. Natsu. Makarov shouted. This is a festival, Gramps. I'm in. Natsu declared. Have you forgotten that Laxus already beat you before? Exclamation mark quote. A man named Warren warned. He had dark hair and thick lips. He wore red-orange tracksuit. I was a kid back then. Natsu said. It was just last year. Warren proclaimed. I was a kid last year. Natsu argued and charged at Laxus. But what I don't like is how trite you are. Just take it easy. Laxus said as Natsu was struck by a bolt of lightning. Natsu. Gray shouted. See. Warren said as he facepalmed himself. He's a real man. Elfman said. Natsu then fell down to the floor knocked out. If you want to turn these girls back to normal, you will have to defeat us first. Evergreen said. There's 4 of us, and close to 100 of you. Vixlo said with a laugh as the wooden dolls floating around him chanted. Of you. You have 3 hours. Take any longer and these girls will turn into sand. Evergreen informed. All of Magnolia will serve as the battlefield. Once you find us the battle begins. Laxus said. Laxus. Makarov grunted in anger. I've had enough of this. Makarov grew into a giant. However, Laxus didn't seem to care as he just smirked. I told you before, just simmer down. It's entertainment for the festival. Let's enjoy it. Let the battle of Fairy Tail begin. Laxus said as he and the Thunder God tribe vanished in a flash of light. He disappeared. Wakaba said. He wants to play tag throughout Magnolia. Macau questioned. Damn, we have to save them. Elfman said as he and the rest of them ran outside, leaving Makarov, Natsu, Happy, Gray in the room. Gray later followed the others. That fool. I'll stop him myself. Makarov declared and ran towards the exit, but he was stopped by an invisible wall. Gramps. Gray ran back to Makarov. An invisible wall, Makarov said as he struggled to go outside. What? There's no wall. Gray said as he picked the master up and tried to pull him outside, but to no avail. What's going on? Gray questioned as he spotted something above him. What is that? There's writing in the air, one of Freed's enchantments. Makarov questioned. Enchantment? Gray questioned. One of Freed's abilities. Once you step inside an enchanted area you have to obey its rules, and the only way out is to obey those rules. It's rune magic. Makarov informed. Well, what does it say? Gray questioned. Exit is forbidden to stone statues and those over the age of 80. Makarov replied. Sounds like whoever writes the rules automatically wins. Gray said. It takes time to write an enchantment. As such, it isn't suited for quick-paced combat but commands tremendous power as a trap. Makarov explained. So you can't break it, Gramps? Gray questioned. Enchantment rules are absolute. Makarov replied. Man. Talk about being meticulous. Guess there's no choice, we'll have to take care of him ourselves. Gray said. Gray. I won't show mercy, even if he's your grandson. Laxus is going down, Gray said with a cold expression and ran off. Is there anyone who can defeat Laxus besides Itachi? It's possible that Erza could, but in her current state, Makarov thought as he spotted someone hiding behind a pillar. Who's there? Makarov looked and spotted Ritas. Oh, it's you, Ritas. I'm scared of Laxus, Ritas said. That's all right. Go visit Perliuzica in the East Forest instead. Makarov ordered. She may have a remedy for petrification. And she might have some of Itachi's medicine ready. Makarov said. Natsu then woke up screaming. You're awake. Happy said. Huh, where's Laxus? Wait. Everyone's gone. Natsu looked around in confusion. If he got serious, it's possible that Natsu could, Makarov thought. Gramps. Where did everyone go? Natsu questioned. I guess I can place my hopes in his latent abilities, Makarov thought. Natsu. The festival has begun. Laxus is in Magnolia. Go defeat him. All right. Natsu yelled. I'm coming for you, Lax. Natsu ran towards the exit but crashed into the barrier. What? Makarov, Happy and Ritas questioned in unison. How come? Natsu questioned. How can this be? Natsu. Are you 80 years old? Are you a stone statue? Makarov questioned with wide eyes of shock. Don't look at me, Natsu said as the writing on the barrier changed. Status update, Jet vs Droy vs Alzak. Makarov read the writing. What in heavens? Why are they fighting? Natsu questioned. Alzak wins. Jet and Droy KO'd, Makarov read. What? Natsu questioned. The hell with this, Laxus. The writing kept changing as people were battling one another all over Magnolia. Max vs Warren. Warren wins. Vegetator vs Nab. Nab wins. Lackey defeats 4 others. Battle between Macau and Wakaba begins. Happy read. Stop. Stop it, you brats. Makarov shouted at the development of the guildmates fighting each other. There are rune traps all over town, and everyone who gets caught in them are being forced to fight. This must be the battle of fairy tale Laxus talked about. Happy said. What for? This makes no sense. Natsu gritted his teeth. Natsu, Happy said as he and Makarov looked at the fire dragon slayer. Natsu then pushed his face up against the barrier. I wanna join in the fight. That's what you want? Makarov and Happy questioned in unison. What's with this invisible wall? Natsu said as he panted from exhaustion. Imbecile. Why would you want to fight? Makarov extended his arm and slapped Natsu at the back of his head. This is a tournament to see who's the strongest, right? Natsu questioned. How is this a tournament? It's just a bunch of friends fighting each other because Laxus egged them on. Erza and the others will turn to sand if we don't defeat the Thunder God tribe before time is up. Everyone is in a frenzy trying to prevent that from happening. They don't have a clear grasp of the situation. At this rate, those who've been petrified will turn to sand forever, Makarov said. Laxus would never go that far. He's annoying as hell, but he's one of us. He's obviously bluffing, Natsu said with a smirk. Natsu, this is just a simple fighting festival. But why can't I get out of here? Natsu shouted, trying to push himself out from the barrier. This barrier won't let anyone over 80 pass. Does that mean I'm older than 80? Exclamation mark quote. I don't think so, Happy said. The writing then changed. Time remaining, 2 hours, 18 minutes. Participants remaining, 42. 42. That means less than half our members are left standing. Makarov said, with Itachi and Mira in the medical room. What's going on down there? Itachi questioned. I don't know, but you need to rest. Whatever it is, I'm sure the others can handle it. Mira said. Mira, if they are in trouble I should help them. Itachi grunted in pain as he clenched his hand over his bare chest. No, please, you need to rest. You've gone through this pain for over 2 years now. You have to rest, please. Mira begged. Mira, Itachi muttered as he saw the determination in her eyes. She was really not going to let him out of this room until he had gotten his medicine. Okay, I will let the others deal with it for now. With Ritus. Ritus ran as fast as he could up the hill as he was on the outskirts of Magnolia. The East Forest. The East Forest. I gotta hurry and get a remedy from Perliuzica to save Erza and the others. And to get Itachi's medicine. Ritus said when suddenly he crashed into a barrier. Ritus then looked around. Don't tell me there's an enchantment around the entire city. Ritus questioned when suddenly behind him Freed appeared from some runes. My rules will not be disobeyed. Freed said. Freed. As Laxus said, the entire town is our battlefield. If you're a wizard, then fight. Demonstrate your strength. That is the rule. Meanwhile with Gray. Gray was running around the town. Damn, where is the Thunder God tribe? Gray questioned as some of Bixlow's dolls floated around him. It's Gray. It's Gray. As they blasted him with a wave of energy. Gray then quickly leapt into a clothing store. Those were Bixlow's. Yo, let's have some fun, Bixlow said, making Gray turn around to face him. Meanwhile with Elfman. Elfman encountered Evergreen in the middle of the town. Evergreen. Curse you. A real man wouldn't take a hostage. Turn the others back. Elfman charged at her. I'm not a man, you know. Evergreen tilted her glasses upwards, making Elfman close his eyes. Evergreen then blasted Elfman into a flower shop. I just love flowers. They suit me so well, don't you think? Evergreen said as flower petals flew around her. Elfman had now transformed into his beast soul. It's a shame the only thing cute about you is your name, Elfman. Turn them back to normal. Elfman demanded as he had covered his eyes. You think you can defeat me blindfolded? Evergreen asked as Elfman leapt at her with his fist raised. Evergreen then leapt to the side, dodging it. Elfman then used his enhanced beast senses and found her. There you are. Elfman leapt towards her and delivered a punch, but Evergreen dodged by flying up in the air as Elfman's fist connected with the ground. I see. You can use smell to locate me. Evergreen said as golden dust then surrounded Elfman. But you're out of luck. You're covered in my fairy dust now. Fairy bomb. Gremlin. The dust on Elfman then exploded all around his body. Elfman was covered in burn marks and bruises. I love stone statues, too. Once turned to stone, even the ugliest of beasts can seem beautiful. Now gaze at me. As if giving yourself into beauty, Evergreen tilted her glasses upwards, turning Elfman to stone. Back in the guild hall, Evergreen versus Elfman. Evergreen wins. Elfman KO'd. Makarov read. I can't believe Elfman was beaten. Happy said. Gray is fighting Bixlow. I wanna fight too. Natsu said, angered at the fact that he couldn't get out and join the battle. And Redis is fighting Freed. The Thunder God tribe is making a move. Happy said. With Redis. Redis ran in some ruins as he reached a dead end. This is the end of the line. Freed said and appeared out of some ruins. Hold it. Why don't you pick on a man, girl, your own size? The voice of Lucy said as she stood in a maid outfit holding a whip. You were turned to stone. Freed said with an emotionless expression. The spell broke, so I came after you. You have no idea what kind of magic this man, woman, can unleash. Do you have the guts to fight me man to man, man to woman? Lucy asked while laughing. Freed then turned back to Redis, who was trying to climb over a wall. Crap. Redis cursed. Freed then swung his sword and Redis as Lucy vanished. So, it was an imposter of your creation. You are a wizard who can bring your drawings to life. You might have fooled me, had I not already known that. Freed directed his blade towards Redis. Freed, please, don't hurt any more people. You're not the kind of person to do this. Redis said as he fell unconscious. 40 people remain in the Battle of Fairy Tale. Freed said. Back at the guild hall, they took out Redis. Happy said. Man, that's Freed for you. He's good. Natsu said. This is no time to be so laid back. Happy scolded. Now we can't get Perliuzica to help us. We don't need her help. That whole sand thing is obviously just a bluff. Natsu said. You think I'm bluffing, Natsu? A projection of Laxus appeared behind them. Laxus. Natsu said. It's a projection. Happy said. What are you still doing here anyway, Natsu? Laxus asked. I'm stuck here. Natsu replied. Laxus. Makarov muttered. Can't stand watching your friends, no, you called them brats, fight each other, can you? With Itachi, Natsu and Erza out of the game, there's no one left who can beat the Thunder God tribe. Will you surrender? Laxus asked his grandfather. Gray's still in the game. He's about as strong as Natsu. He'd never lose to the dumb old Thunder God tribe. Happy said. Him, as strong as me? Natsu questioned, looking angry. Well, it's true. Happy retorted. Gray, you're placing your hopes in that runt. Laxus questioned with an amused grin. Do not underestimate Gray, Laxus. Makarov said. With the fight between Gray and Bixlow. Gray dodged waves of energy from Bixlow's dolls. Line formation. All 5 of the dolls got on top of each other and sent a blast of energy. Gray dodged the wave by leaping to the side. Not too shabby, Gray. Now for victory formation. Bixlow said, but his dolls didn't respond. What's wrong, babies? Bixlow looked over to the dolls and saw that they were frozen in ice. When did they? Bixlow questioned as Gray leapt towards him, kneeing him in the chin. Ice make. Hammer. A large hammer made out of ice went down towards Bixlow, who smirked. X formation. 4 mannequins and a teddy bear blocked the ice hammer. What? Gray questioned. My cedar magic allows me to possess dolls with spirits. If you freeze my puppets, I can simply move them to other bodies. Bixlow said as the dolls chanted in unison. Other bodies. Other bodies. Man, you're a real pain in the neck. Gray said in annoyance. Get it? Attacking my puppets is completely useless. Bixlow said. Then I'll just freeze you. Gray declared and sent a wave of ice towards Bixlow, but the puppets blocked it as Bixlow ran away. Whoa, like to see you try. You're just gonna run now. Gray ran after him back out to the streets. Get back here. Gray shouted as Bixlow just laughed as he turned into an alley. Gray went into the alley but couldn't see Bixlow anywhere. That bastard. Where did he go? Up here, Gray. Bixlow said as he was in a spagat position between the 2 buildings. Just what are you trying to do? Gray questioned. I told you before. I want to play with strong opponents. My babies have been dying of boredom lately too. Bixlow said as Gray looked around and saw them surrounded by an enchantment. An enchantment? Gray questioned. No one can use magic inside this barrier until they battle it out. Bixlow explained. One of Freed's traps. It's times like this that being a long-distance wizard comes in handy. Bixlo said as the puppets came in and blasted Gray. Bixlo then let out a laugh. Without magic, you're helpless to do anything. Is that what you think? Gray leapt out from the smoke and leapt to the side of the buildings to get up to Bixlo's level. Gray's clothes were torn, his jacket was gone and he was in an orange V-neck shirt and pants. Gray raised his fist as two of the puppets flew up behind him. You can't catch me, Gray said when suddenly he spotted a little girl looking at them through a window. While he was distracted, the puppets blasted him into a wall. Bixlo let out a laugh. Tough luck, Gray, Bixlo said as Gray leapt out from the smoke and punched Bixlo in the face, sending him crashing into the ground. Gray then fell to the ground. Why, you little, even after being hit by my baby's powerful attack, Bixlo said as he looked at Gray's unconscious body. He slightly pushed Gray's body with his foot. Guess my extra clothing helped lessen the damage I took, had me scared for a minute. You should really consider wearing heavier clothes too, Gray, Bixlo said with a smirk as he walked away. Back at the guild hall, Gray is KO'd. 28 contenders remain. Laxus said then let out a laugh. Told you so. You're lying. He used some sort of dirty trick. I just know it, Happy shouted. Who else can possibly defeat the Thunder God tribe now? Laxus asked with a cocky smirk. Gajiel can, Happy said. So sorry. He doesn't seem to be taking part in our game. He doesn't give a damn about our guild anyway. Laxus said. I'm still here. Natsu said. What use are you if you can't leave this place? Laxus said. Alright, I've had enough. I surrender. Makarov said. Gramps, cease this, Laxus. Makarov begged. Laxus looked at Makarov with a smirk. That won't do. The master of the almighty fairy tale, giving up just like that. But if you really insist, then you could hand over your title as master to me first. That's underhanded, Laxus. You too afraid to fight me? Huh, Natsu said. Why, you little, that was your aim from the very start. Makarov said, clenching his fist in anger. You have an hour and a half until the stone statues crumble. If you wish to end this, then use the guild's loudspeaker to announce to the entire city that you hereby hand over the title of Fairy Tales Master to Laxus. Think it over. What's more important, your title or your friends? Laxus questioned as he vanished. Get back here. Natsu charged and crashed into a pillar. He'll call himself the strongest and take the title of master, but he won't fight me. I don't care about my title as master. Makarov said. You don't? Natsu questioned. But I cannot entrust Fairy Tale to Laxus. He doesn't have what it takes to fill these shoes. He lacks principle and heart. Makarov said. But Lucy and the others will turn to sand if we don't do something. Someone needs to beat Laxus and his group. Itachi can't do it because he's sick. Who else is there? Happy said when they heard someone eating some metal. They turned towards the source and saw Gajiel eating iron behind the bar counter. Gajiel, you were there the whole time? Natsu questioned. Don't eat our dishes, Happy shouted. Will you go for us? Makarov asked. Gajiel leapt over the counter and walked over to them. I do got a score to settle with that bastard. Just leave it to me. Gajiel said as he walked towards the exit and crashed into the barrier, much to everyone's shock. You're 82, Natsu questioned. Of course I'm not, Gajiel shouted back. They all then looked at the runes. Only 4 left. Why can't you leave either? Quit copying me, Natsu shouted at Gajiel. Don't look at me, Gajiel shouted. I'm getting hungry, you jerk. Natsu shouted. Again? Don't look at me. Gajiel shouted. Wait for? Makarov questioned and looked at Gajiel and Natsu. You two are left, who else? Makarov questioned when he heard coughing coming from the medical room. Drink this. Mira Jane's voice was heard coming from the medical room. Only these 4, Makarov shouted, becoming pale. You mean I don't count? Happy questioned. Itachi, get your butt down here. Makarov shouted. Master, Itachi is sick, he can't get out of bed. Mira exited the door from the medical room and shouted down to the others. Sick or not, we need him more than ever. Makarov shouted. What do you mean? What's going on? Mira questioned. Laxus and the Thunder God tribe has declared a battle of Fairy Tale, and there is no one else left to fight besides those 2, and they can't get out of here thanks to Freed's enchantment. Makarov replied. What are the stakes of the battle? Mira questioned. If we don't defeat them all within the hour, all of the girls who were in the Miss Fairy Tale contest will be reduced to sand. Makarov pointed at the stage where everyone had turned to stone. And no way, Mira muttered. Itachi is the only one we have that can get outside. We need him, Makarov said. Mira looked at Itachi, who was now sleeping as he was sweating and breathing a little heavily. B, but he's in no condition to fight Master. Mira shouted. No other choice. Guess I'll revive Erza, Natsu said. What? Makarov and Happy questioned in unison. Sheesh. This was finally my chance to show her up, too. Natsu said and walked over to the stage. Hold on. How do you plan to do that? Makarov questioned. The stone and stuff should melt if I burn it, right? Natsu said. Stop. Makarov shouted. They're all stone to the very core. Happy shouted. Natsu placed Erza's statue on the floor. Only one way to tell for sure. Stop. Do you want to kill Erza? Makarov said. I'll just toast her like so. Natsu said as his hands were infused with flames and directed over Erza's body. Don't rub her with fire. A worried Makarov shouted. Suddenly a crack appeared on Erza's stone head, making everyone scream. Crap. She cracked. Glue. Glue. Happy. Get some glue. Natsu shouted, holding the Erza statue by the shoulders. Aye sir. You idiot. That won't hold her together. Gajil shouted. We gotta use my iron and your fire to weld her shut. All of you. Makarov shouted as Erza's statue's cracks grew. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Natsu said when suddenly the stone cracked off and Erza sat there completely fine. I feel hot, Erza said as her expression darkened. Was it you, Natsu? What were you thinking? Erza punched Natsu, sending him flying off the stage. Erza's back. Happy cheered. Thank goodness, but how? Makarov questioned. I'm not quite sure either. Perhaps it was because of this right eye of mine, Erza said. Evergreen's spell's effect must have due to Erza's artificial eye. Do you understand the current situation, Erza? Happy asked. Yes. Despite being petrified, I could still hear what everyone was saying. Erza replied. We can do this. It's time to strike back. Makarov said as the writing by the door changed. There are 5 people left. Happy said. The numbers of remaining contenders has changed upon my revival. How elaborate, Erza said. Then those 5 must be Itachi, Mira, Natsu, Gajil and you. Happy said when the number increased to 6. 6 people left. It went up. Gajil questioned. Who is it? Natsu looked over to the other statues that were still statues. They're still petrified. Just who is it, then? Makarov questioned. Erza then smirked. There was still one other person outside town, remember? Wait. You mean him? Natsu questioned. No way. Happy said. He's back. Makarov questioned. So he finally decided to join in. Things are starting to get interesting. Erza said with a smirk. Who are you guys talking about? Gajil questioned. One of the candidates for Fairy Tail's most powerful member, Mistogen. Erza said and ran outside to the battlefield. She ran across the city when suddenly magical blasts rained down on her. She leapt back, dodging all of them. And just how did you turn back to normal after being petrified? Evergreen questioned as she stood on the top of a building. Well, no matter. It just means I get to enjoy tormenting you more. Evergreen. You really tick me off. You call yourself the Titania, Queen of the Fairies? Exclamation mark. I'm the #1 fairy here. Evergreen said with a cold smirk as the battle over the role of Fairy Queen was about to begin. Evergreen sent a blast wave towards Erza. When it exploded, Erza jumped out from the smoke with 2 swords. Evergreen flew in the air and stood in front of a tower. Erza leapt towards her and swung her swords. Evergreen managed to fly away from Erza's attack as the tower was sliced in half instead. They then landed on 2 separate rooftops. Impressive as always, Erza. I never imagined you would seek me out. If I defeat you, everyone will turn back to normal. Erza leapt towards Evergreen. Can you though? Evergreen tilted her glasses upwards as her eyes glowed. But Erza closed her left eye as her right artificial eye blocked the spell. That won't work. Erza kept charging as Evergreen flew back. I see. I didn't realize you had an artificial eye. In that case, fairy machine gun. Evergreen had blasted several golden energy needles at Erza. Erza used her swords to deflect the needles that came towards her as she charged towards Evergreen. Take this. Evergreen flew up and kept shooting. Get back here. Erza leapt after her. Evergreen kept flying away and Erza followed as she deflected all the energy needles that came towards her with the swords. I'm impressed. You're able to block all of them. But can you handle twice as many? Evergreen then blasted twice as much of the needles. Erza deflected several of them, but they started to penetrate her defense as it started to make small cuts on her outfit. Evergreen laughed. From this day forth, the title of Titania will be mine. I am the real fairy here. Erza then re-equipped 2 more swords that she held with her feet and began deflecting all of the needles. I am possible, Evergreen said in disbelief as Erza moved closer and closer, as she threw the two swords from her feet towards Evergreen. Evergreen was in front of a tower as the swords nailed her to the tower by piercing the sleeves of her dress. Erza landed a few feet away from her. Your personal character aside, you are a fellow member of Fairy Tail. If you wish to call yourself Titania, then do so. I don't know who gave me that name anyway. If you cease this nonsense and return everyone to normal, I pledge not to hurt you. Evergreen chuckled a little. You're being a little naive, don't you think? My stone eyes have another ability, you know. Evergreen said as Erza walked closer. Remote control, Evergreen said as Erza stopped. Drop to your knees and bow to me. Or else I'll shatter the petrified girls into pieces right now. Evergreen gave a victorious smirk. Erza re-equipped into her Heaven's Wheel armor, making Evergreen sweat nervously as she had a dumbfounded expression on her face. I see. If you value winning over your own life, then you have my esteem. Erza said as she had several swords directed towards Evergreen. I shall use your life to purify the souls of the girls you turn to dust. Erza gave a cold stare as Evergreen began sweating even more and shaking. Ah! Evergreen screamed and was then punched directly in the face by Erza. This is how you bluff. Erza said with a deadpan expression. I give up. Meanwhile back at the Guildhall all of the girls returned to normal after Erza defeated Evergreen. What happened to Juvia? Juvia questioned as the girls looked confused. Levi said as Natsu, Makarov, Gajil and Happy walked over to the stage. Oh. Makarov smirked victoriously. You're back to normal, Natsu said. Lucy. Happy flew into Lucy's bosom. Huh, what? Lucy questioned. The writing on the door then changed. Erza versus Evergreen. Erza wins. Makarov read. Well done. The hostages have been freed. What will you do now, Laxus? Meanwhile with Laxus at Cathedral Church. Laxus punched a pillar in anger. He had wide eyes and veins on his forehead. He was gritting his teeth in rage over the fact that Evergreen lost. Damn it. How could you be beaten by the likes of Erza? Huh, when did you get so weak, ever? Erza's just too powerful. Bixlo or I should have gone instead. Freed said. Why have you returned, Freed? Laxus questioned. Because the game is as good as over. With the hostages freed, the master has no reason to act now. Freed replied as Laxus sent a wave of lightning blasting past Freed. Laxus. It ain't over. If you can't stick by my side, then get lost. I don't need you in my fairy tale. Laxus said. Meanwhile back at the Guildhall with Itachi and Mira in the medical room. That's it, I need to know what's going on. Itachi said as he got up out of bed. Where's my shirt and jacket? Itachi questioned as he was topless and you could see his muscular body structure clearly. No, it's okay. Everything is fine now, Mira said. What happened? Itachi questioned. Laxus tried to take over Fairy Tail by turning the ones in the Miss Fairy Tail contest into stone, and threatening to shatter them if the master didn't name him master. But Erza was revived thanks to her artificial eye. She defeated Evergreen and all the hostages returned to normal. Mira explained the situation. What about Laxus? Is he defeated? Itachi asked. Well, the game is over, so, I mean, has anyone fought him and beaten him? Itachi said. Well, no, but there's no need now, Mira said. If Laxus is still out there, this is far from over. Itachi said as he walked towards the door but was stopped as Mira stepped in front of him. The master can deal with it, you have to stay here and rest. We can't risk your sickness getting any worse. Mira said. It won't get any worse. Itachi argued. You said it yourself, if you use more than 40% of your power your lifespan shortens. Mira retorted. It was true if he used more than that his lifespan would shorten, and Laxus is just as strong as Jalal if not more. Itachi could risk having to go over that limit when fighting Laxus. Who's left to fight besides Erza? Itachi asked. Well, since this was a battle of Fairy Tail, Freed placed several enchantments across the town so everyone ended up fighting against each other. And the Thunder God tribe took out whoever was left. So the ones remaining are Erza, Natsu, Gajil, Lucy, Kana, Visca, Levi, Juvia, you and me. Oh, and Mistogan, Mira replied. And what about Laxus? How many of his little bodyguards are left? Itachi asked. Evergreen is the only one who's been defeated. Freed and Bixlo are still out there somewhere. Mira replied. That settles it then, I'm going. Itachi said. No, you're not. Mistogan and Erza are strong enough to beat Laxus and the others can easily take out Freed and Bixlo. Mira protested with a pouty face. It's not that. Laxus still has one card left to play in order to get what he wants. Itachi said. Mira began thinking when she realized what Itachi was talking about. Why, you don't mean? Yes. Itachi nodded. Do you really think he would want to go that far? Mira questioned. In the situation he's in now, that's his only option if he is to win. And at the moment he's willing to do anything it takes to win. Itachi said with a dead serious expression. Meanwhile downstairs with the others. Battle of Fairy Tail? Lucy questioned as they had all heard an explanation about what happened. Laxus did all that, Kana questioned. But it's all over now. With you back to normal. There's no need to play Laxus stupid games anymore. Later I will personally give him punishment of the highest grade. Curse you, Laxus. This time you will not get off easy. Makarov said, clenching his fist. Hold on. Natsu stopped the master. I can't help but agree with Laxus' idea of finding out who the strongest person in Fairy Tail is. Natsu said. Huh, all the girls questioned. So don't be too hard on him, Gramps. Natsu said, then he gained a wide smile. So, let the second battle of Fairy Tail begin. Bring it on, all of you. Wah. The girls questioned. Stop. Makarov ordered. We didn't get to do anything, you know. Come on, let's battle. Natsu said, punching around in the air with excitement. Stop it. It doesn't sound like a joke, coming from you. Lucy said with a sigh. If you really insist, then I'm not against taking you on. Kana said. Kana. Don't encourage him. Bisca scolded. Natsu. I don't think fighting a girl would count as a battle. Happy said. Guy, girl, makes no difference to me. Come on, let's do this, Lucy. Natsu chased after the celestial wizard. Stop. Lucy said. Huh, what is that? Bisca questioned as the runes began forming into something. What the? Natsu questioned. Is he up to something else now? Kana questioned. This time you're dealing with us. Bisca said. The runes then formed into a large skull. Can you hear me, old man? Laxus's voice came from it. And all you other guild people, Laxus. Natsu said. One of the rules has gone out the window, so I'm adding a new one now. I've activated the Thunder Palace in order to keep the Battle of Fairy Tail underway. Laxus informed. The Thunder Palace? Makarov questioned with wide eyes of shock. You have 1 hour and 10 minutes. Do you have what it takes to beat us? Or will you give up instead, Master? Laxus said as the skull started to vanish, and all that was heard was an echo of Laxus's laughter. What are you thinking, Laxus? Makarov was beyond angry. He had veins popping around his head and he was clenching his fists. Are you trying to drag innocent bystanders into this too? Exclamation mark. Makarov suddenly grabbed his chest in pain. Master. Kana shouted. Gramps. Natsu shouted. What's wrong? Lucy questioned as the master fell to his knees. It's his heart. Levi, go get his medicine from his office, we will bring him to the medical room. Bisca said as Levi ran towards the office. What is this Thunder Palace? Natsu questioned as they took him to the medical room. What happened? Mira questioned as they all entered and placed the master on the bed next to Itachi. His heart condition kicked in. Kana said. Here's his medicine. Levi handed the medicine over to Mira. Arg. What's this Thunder Palace? Natsu questioned. Look outside and you will see for yourself. Itachi said as he sat on his bed still shirtless. They all besides Itachi, Mira and the master went outside where they saw several lightning lacrimas floating around the city. What are those? Natsu questioned. Lightning lacrimas, Levi said. What are they doing up there? Kana questioned. They're floating around the city. Lucy said. An incredible amount of powerful lightning magic is stored inside each of those lacrimas. Could these be what he means? Kana questioned. Is that what Thunder Palace refers to? Juvia questioned. He's making Magnolia resemble one, Kana said. Wait, what happens if those things discharge? Lucy questioned. Countless lightning bolts will rain down on the city, Kana replied as an image of lightning bolts striking and destroying Magnolia came to everyone's mind. I won't let that happen. Sniper rifle requip. Bisca brought out a sniper rifle and put her sights on one of the lacrimas. Target lock on. Stinger shot. A magic bullet was shot from Bisca's gun and destroyed one of the lacrimas. All right, Lucy cheered. Way to go, Bisca. Kana praised. I'll take care of all these. Bisca was suddenly struck by bolts of lightning. Bisca. Kana shouted as they watched her get electrocuted as she screamed in pain. Once it was over, Bisca fell to the ground and Levi rushed to her side. Hey, say something, Bisca, Natsu said. Bisca, stay with us, Levi said as she held an unconscious Bisca in her arms. What's going on? Lucy questioned. Body link magic, Kana said. Body link magic, Lucy questioned. There's a spell on those lacrimas that links the damage they receive to whoever causes the damage. In short, if you attack them, the same amount of damage will be directed back at you. Kana informed. Oh no, if we don't do something, all the citizens will be. Levi said. We'll have to take down Laxus. Let's go. Kana charged out of the room. I'll try to evacuate as many townspeople as I can. Lucy said and ran back inside. I'll come with you. Happy followed after her. There are still 2 Thunder God tribe members out there. Be careful. Kana warned as she and Juvia ran back inside while Levi stayed and tended to Biska. What is that bastard thinking? Natsu tried to jump down. Natsu. Levi shouted. Hey. Gajil shouted as Natsu crashed into the barrier. You've gone too far. Natsu tried to push himself out through the barrier. If you wanna be master so bad, then just fight Gramps. I've had enough of your crap, Laxus. Natsu. Calm down. Levi said. I can't. Just listen. Levi said as Natsu kept hitting the barrier. Damn. There's an invisible wall here too. Natsu shouted. It's an enchantment. Levi corrected. We already know. Gajil said. It's a type of script magic. I might be able to do something. Levi said. What? Gajil questioned. Really? Levi? Natsu questioned. I have faith that you guys can stop Laxus. Levi said. They first went to the medical room and placed Biska there. What happened to her? Itachi questioned. She shot a lacrima. Gajil replied. I see body link magic. This is really becoming more troublesome. Itachi said with a sigh. You're still staying here, Mira said as she tended to Biska's wounds. Yeah, Itachi sighed. Where are you guys going? Levi's going to try and do something about the barrier. Natsu replied as they all went to the main hall. With Lucy and Happy, they were walking around the city and saw people enjoying the festival. Why can't we use the guild's loudspeaker? Happy questioned. There's an enchantment that says only the master can use it during the Battle of Fairy Tale. They were meticulous about every little thing. Anyway, we gotta get the townspeople away from the Thunder Palace. Lucy said. Actually, I don't think that's a good idea. Happy said. Why not? Lucy questioned. There are a lot of people from other towns here for the festival. The city is jam-packed. Happy said. But they're all concerned about those lacrimas. Lucy said. Which is why it'll only cause a panic if we explain what they are. Tons of people will get hurt. Happy explained. But, then, what should we do? Lucy questioned. Yeah, what should we do? 3 dolls appeared around Lucy. Lucy, look out. Happy swooped in and grabbed Lucy before the dolls blasted her. What the heck? Lucy questioned. It's Bixlow. Happy said and pointed at Bixlow who was on top of the building in front of them. Yo, are you the newbie everyone's telling stories about? Bixlow asked. What do you mean by stories? I'm almost afraid to ask. Lucy said. You're a cosplay-loving, macho dominatrix with violent mood swings, right? Bixlow asked with a grin. What kind of crazy exaggerations did you hear? What are you supposed to be? A cheerleader? Bixlow asked on the account of Lucy's outfit. Cheerleader. Cheerleader. Cheer. The dolls chanted. Okay. My babies. Get. The dolls then blasted several beams at Lucy and Happy, who ran away from them and then tripped. Sorry I can't go easy on you since you're new and all, but we are in the middle of an intense game, you see. Do you honestly think our master will let you get away with everything you've done? Lucy said as she got up. We don't care what he thinks. By the time this game is over, Laxus will be the new master. Bixlow said as his dolls blasted towards Lucy. Uck. Lucy leapt away from the blast. Those flying things are annoying. Open. Gate of the Horseman. Sagittarius. Lucy brought forth a golden key and out came a man in a horse costume. I am a horse. You called. Hello. Sagittarius saluted. Oh. Celestial magic. Wait. You're celestial spirits cosplay too? Bixlow questioned. It's not like that. Lucy shouted. She then pointed at the dolls. Aim for those flying things. Okay. Understood. Hello. Sagittarius took them all down with arrows. Oh. My babies. First you were frozen, and now you're blasted to bits. No. My babies. Bixlow said. This is your last chance to surrender. Lucy said. Your last chance. Happy said. Oh. My babies. My babies. Gotcha. Bixlow smirked with his tongue sticking out. As Sagittarius was blasted. Sagittarius. Hello. I require a short repose. Thus, Sagittarius went back to the spirit world. Oh. No. Lucy said. Beneath me is a hobby shop. A treasure trove of dolls. Bixlow said as a new set of dolls floated up. What are these things? Lucy questioned. It makes no difference how many of my dolls you destroy, their souls are what I control. Bixlo declared. Souls? Lucy questioned. Bixlo uses magic to possess dolls with souls. Happy informed. Then this time all, Lucy said, bringing out her set of keys that were snatched away by a doll. Ack. My keys. I'll get 'em back. Happy flew after the doll but was kicked by another one. There's no turning back now. So sorry, cosplay girl. Give up your soul for Laxus. Bixlo said as his green eye glowed under his helmet. Very in formation, the dolls began spinning around, gathered in a circle, gathering up a huge amount of energy. As the blast was sent directly towards Lucy. What the? Lucy questioned. As the blast approached her, she was snatched away by a man with wild orange hair, sunglasses, wearing a dark open suit with a white shirt and a red tie. When the dust cleared, Bixlo stared in shock as Lucy was being held in a princess carry by this man. I'm not sure why it is, but it seems I'm the only one who can pass through the gate freely without your intervention. Perhaps this goes to show that the barrier separating humans and spirits is no match for our love. The man said. Love? That's silly, Lucy said with a smile and a small blush. Why, you're Loki, Bixlo said as the mysterious man was none other than Loki with a new look. Looks like it's time to fulfill my promise. Loki said. Loki, so you really were a celestial spirit after all. I kept quiet about it, yet you bare your fangs at me now. Bixlo said. He knew. Lucy questioned. He can see people's souls. Happy replied. You're joining the battle of fairy tale? Huh? Bixlo asked. I'm not very interested in any of that, to be honest. But I won't allow you to hurt Lucy, my owner, no matter what. Loki declared. Won't allow? You're a riot. You never beat me before, even though I always pulled my punches. Let's rough him up like old times, my babies. Bixlo said as the dolls charged. Lucy, stay back. Loki said. Nonsense. Lucy brought out a whip. Celestial spirits aren't shields. Fighting together is more my style. Lucy said with a smile, which Loki returned. They're in Louvre. Happy teased. Or not, Lucy shouted. The dolls began blasting them as they spread out to avoid the blasts. I'll take care of the dolls. Once the path is clear, you go after Bixlo, Lucy. Loki said. Okay, let's do this. Happy. Regulus. Give me strength. Loki began letting out a golden glow. Loki then punched one of the dolls with his fist surrounded in a golden aura. The impact of the punch broke the doll. Wow, incredible, Lucy said. He's a lion clad in light. Happy said. I told you, it's no use. Attacks have no effect on souls. If you destroy their bodies, they'll just possess new ones. Go, my new babies. Bixlo said as some new dolls appeared chanting. Go, go. The dolls flew towards Lucy, but Loki jumped in front of her. I won't let them get near Lucy, no matter how many you send. Loki said. This is our chance, Lucy said as Happy was holding her and flying towards Bixlo. Sir. Lucy swung her whip at Bixlo, who jumped away, dodging it. You're scary, cosplay dominatrix. Bixlo said. I told you, it's not like that. Lucy said, being visibly annoyed. Lucy, take him out with brute force. Bixlo himself isn't very strong. Loki shouted. Say what, you jerk. Bixlo shouted as Lucy whipped him right in the helmet. Damn, guess it's my only option now. Lucy questioned. He doesn't mean. Happy said, sounding worried as Bixlo took off his helmet. Figure eyes. Bixlo said as his eyes glowed green. Don't look at his eyes. Happy warned. All the Thunder God tribe members have secondary magic in their eyes. Evergreen uses it as her primary magic, though. One look at Bixlo's eyes and he'll turn you into a puppet and control your soul. What? Loki questioned as he and Lucy had both closed their eyes the second Happy warned them. That was close, Lucy said. Oh, shut your eyes, huh? Bixlo asked with a victorious grin. Shut. His dolls chanted and flew up in the air and began charging at Lucy and Loki, crashing into them with energy around them. Don't open your eyes, Happy warned. Bixlo let out an evil chuckle. No one is a match for my possession and figure eyes combination. Lucy, close my gate for now and use Horologium to strengthen your defense. Loki said. Easy for you to say. You can come and go as you please. My keys got stolen, you know. Besides, I believe in you, so do something. Lucy said. Loki smiled a little. Okay, it's sink or swim, Lucy. On my signal, open your eyes and hit him hard. But if we open our eyes, you trust me, remember? Loki said. All right. Bixlo questioned as Loki began letting out a golden aura of magic power. Regulus has reached its zenith, Loki said. Lion radiance. Loki let out a blinding light that Bixlo got an eye full of. My eyes. Lucy. Okay. Lucy wrapped her whip around Bixlo's upper body, tying his arms up making him unable to move. Loki. You can't possibly defeat me. Bixlo said as smoke came from his eyes. I'm different from before. I regained my true power as a celestial spirit after I met Lucy. No, I grew even stronger after meeting her. Loki was glowing as he walked up to Bixlo. Unlike with your marionettes, love makes celestial spirits strong. Loki said as all of the glow went into his fist. Bixlo opened his eyes and saw a golden magic circle. Regulus impact. Out of the magic circle came a wave of spirit energy that had a lion head shape at the end. Bixlo screamed as it crashed into him sending him flying. Yay. Happy cheered. Thanks, Loki. Look, Lucy. At the light of love. Loki lifted his hand in the air as he let out a light with letters with roses around it that spelled, I love Lucy. You're in Louvre. Happy teased. Quit saying that, Lucy said with a tired expression. She then sat down up against a wall. I can hardly move. Well, you did use 2 zodiac gates. Happy said. I will always come to your rescue. Loki said and gave Lucy her keys back. Okay, thanks. Back at the Guildhall, Natsu and Gajeel looked at the barrier as the writing changed. Oh, Lucy won, Natsu said. Are you serious? That cheerleader can fight? Gajeel questioned in shock. Lucy's pretty tough, Natsu said. You gotta be kidding me. She's a cheerleader, Gajeel said still in disbelief. Cheerleaders are tough, man. Natsu said. I won't let them outshine me, either. Gajeel declared. I've never heard that before. Haven't you heard about the race between the cheerleader and the tortoise? Natsu asked as he and Gajeel were head to head. You mean hare, not cheerleader. And the hare lost in that story. Gajeel shouted. Yeah, the first one. It won the next few hundred after that. Natsu said as they were slightly disturbing Levi's concentration. I see. So it learned its lesson and. Gajeel said. That's it. Levi shouted. What's what? Natsu and Gajeel questioned in unison. Yes. You're supposed to decipher the 2 grammars at separate rates. Levi said as Natsu and Gajeel had no idea what she was talking about. You take the integral number of synchronized letter in a single pass, transform them into Geel grammar and then translate that into Log. I got it. Oh, hang on. I'll rewrite the enchantment. Levi said. Yeah, Natsu. Gajeel, are you all set? You're about to join the battle of Fairy Tail. I'm all fired up. Natsu said as his fist was burning. I'm gonna go to town on him. Gajeel said as Levi rewrote the enchantment. Go. Levi shouted as Natsu and Gajeel ran outside into battle. Meanwhile in the medical room. Looks like Levi did it. Itachi looked out the window and saw Natsu and Gajeel running outside. Yeah, everything will be over soon. Mira said as she tended to Bisca and the master. Cough. Cough. Itachi began to cough and Mira instantly rushed to his side. Mira, what is it? Mira asked as she patted him on the back. Could you get me a glass of water? Itachi asked. Yeah sure. But don't you dare run away. Mira warned. Why would I? Itachi questioned. Mira then went to the door and was met by Levi. Levi. Perfect timing. I'm going to get some water for Itachi. Could you please watch over him and the others in the meantime? Yeah, sure. Levi said as Mira ran out the door. She then walked over to Itachi. Are you feeling any better? Same as for the last 2 years. Itachi replied. Let's hope that Perliuzica can find a different way to help you. We should soon be over this battle of fairy tale thing anyway. Levi said with a smile. Levi, I'm sorry, Itachi said and looked at her with his Sharingan activated. Levi began to look drowsy and then she fell asleep. Itachi gently placed her on a bed before he leapt out the window. He landed on the ground as he looked around. Where are you hiding, Laxus? Itachi muttered to himself and then saw a huge amount of magic power. The church, Itachi ran through the streets. Mira walked back into the room. Itachi, I got your water. Mira stopped when she saw that Levi was asleep and that the window was open, and Itachi was nowhere to be seen. She dropped the glass of water and clenched her fists, and gained a thick mark on her forehead. Itachi, you're so dead. Mira shouted. Itachi ran through the streets as he felt the stabbing pain in his chest. He almost fell but he supported himself by holding on to the side of a building. He then heard Mira's scream and looked at the guild that was slightly in the distance. I'm sorry Mira, but I can't sit by and do nothing. Itachi said as he began walking with his left arm supporting him on the side of the building, and his right hand clenching over his chest. This ends now, Laxus. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The next episode will be out soon.